2004, while I was in Alaska, I participated in a 2-week Sierra Club outing. Met in Fairbanks, Alaska. First day we drove in our 2 vehicles from Fairbanks to Denali and camped in the Savage River campground. We all contributed in preparing the food, cleaning up afterwards, and of course, consuming all of the food. Included in the outing was the 86-mile bus ride out to Wonder Lake, including all the wildlife sightings we saw on the way. I had done this same bus ride a couple weeks earlier when I was here by myself before meeting the group. It's a 10-hour bus ride. It makes for a long day, but it was a wonderful experience. Both times I did it. First of our 2 scheduled backpacks was the next day. We drove a little bit down the road to the Denali State Park and began our 3-day 20-mile backpack trip on the Kasugi Ridge Trail. Our group was too large to be allowed to backpack in Denali National Park, but this was a nice substitute. Same terrain, same area. As we climbed uphill the first day, we eventually got up to the ridge line and left the tree line behind us. After reaching the ridge line, our altitude was supposed to give us wondrous views of Mount McKinley, but the smoke from the wildfires burning north of us obscured our view of the Great One. A few days later we did get a view of it, and this is what we would have seen if there hadn't been smoke. Our 2 nights of camping were on tundra, which is very comfortable, like being on a nice mattress. You might notice the rain covers on the backpacks and the rain suits we are all wearing. On our final day, we had temperatures in the 40s and rain all day. And twice we had to cross deep canyons, descend and go back up the other side, and 3 times cross wet, slippery boulder fields. So it was with relief we got back to our 2 vehicles and drove to Hatcher Pass Lodge and take showers, though we all had to wait our turn to use the 1 shower that was available. But it was worth it. Another pleasure was eating food prepared in a kitchen by someone else and served to us. Next night it was back to our tents again in another campground. Here I am helping cook supper this night. Here are our 2 leaders extraordinaire, Nick and Sandy. Everyone pitched in to help with various meals and also the cleanup each night. And each night we enjoyed a campfire complete with stories and jokes and poems and singing and even dancing. The next day on our way to Wrangell-St. Elias National Park, we stopped and looked at the display explaining the pipeline. the 13 nights of this outing, we camped 9 nights and spent 4 nights in rustic cabin accommodations. Now we're heading to Wrangell-St. Elias National Park, the largest in the United States at 13 million acres, which makes it larger than Switzerland, and it has higher peaks than Switzerland. This campground was at the end of a 61-mile, mostly gravel road, and it was about a half-mile walk from the campground to the little community of McCarthy. It was the first week of September, and it was already getting quite cold each evening. The days were in the 50s, but the nights were already below freezing. This is the old mining town of Kennecott, a 5-mile walk from McCarthy. The next day was a free day. Bill and Nick ran the half marathon that was being staged in McCarthy. Several people went on a flight scene trip, and one of the gals and I, Mary and I, decided to go on the glacier hike at Root Glacier with a guide. Notice the crampons on our boots, which allow us to go up and down these ice walls without any difficulty. A trip into McCarthy and a little time in the tavern made us all feel like maybe we weren't really in the middle of the wilderness after all. Then it was up to the gravel Denali Highway, up to the Tangle Lakes Lodge. This scenic location was our cabin. You might notice tents draped over the railing and drying. We were here 2 nights, and the first night we even had steak. What a treat that was. The Northern Lights put on quite a display for us, and we watched them both of the evenings we were here at the lodge. Remember when I mentioned it was below freezing at night? Here's the evidence. It was 15 degrees when I took this picture, early in the morning. On our day that we spent in the area, we went canoeing on Tangle Lakes, a series of small lakes. Quite a sunset looking out over the lake, isn't it? After our 2 nights staying at the lodge, we got back on the Denali Highway heading west, saw caribou, swans, and moose, and then one of our 2 vehicles got 2 flat tires. After dealing with that, we were back on the road, enjoyed views of Mount McKinley, and headed back to Denali. A second visit to Denali as part of this trip was not really part of the plan. We were supposed to go for a second backpack, but wildfires burning in that area made us cancel the plan, so the alternative was to spend a couple more nights in Denali and do some hiking. So we embarked on a 9-mile hike up Mount Healy, complete with a 2,200-foot elevation gain, and from way up high we got more views of Mount McKinley. Our final night was a real treat at the Chena Hot Springs Resort. More wonderful food cooked by someone else, and hours in the hot spring pool. It was a wonderful trip and a wonderful group of people, and here we all are together.